Right, so today we're going to talk about section 8.3, and we're going to look at hypothesis tests in a little bit more detail. So in the last section, we performed 4 of the steps of the hypothesis test and came to a conclusion about our null hypothesis. In this particular section, we're going to look at possible sources of error or other different types of mistakes, practical versus statistical significance, and similarities and differences between hypothesis tests and confidence intervals. Okay, so before we get into some of the newer stuff, just a few friendly reminders here. Remember, as we are going through, we must check our conditions, right? We must be sure that we have a normal distribution. So if our conditions about our sampling distribution don't hold, then we do not have a normal curve and we cannot find our p-values. So make sure our population size is large enough, our sample size is large enough, and that our samples are independent and randomly selected. Also, another reminder of what our p-values mean as far as our interpretation goes. Remember that a small p-value means our test statistic is extreme. An extreme test statistic means something unusual and unexpected has happened. Small p-values lead us to reject the null hypothesis, and we must be very careful in these conclusions. So just kind of a reminder of what we talked about in the last section and how we were making our decisions. So if our p-value is less than or equal to alpha, remember that tells us to reject our null hypothesis. And if our p-value is greater than alpha, we have not seen anything unusual or surprising, and we do not reject our null hypothesis. Okay? So how we came to our conclusions is going to hold as we're going through the rest of these. So just make sure you feel comfortable with which one's which, and that you're coming up with the correct interpretations.